back with my husband. So, and Tevin too. Miss him. While we were in Chicago, on a few of my videos, I mentioned how my mom had trouble breathing, and I kind of said, you know, she's a double lung transplant patient. 3 years ago, let's see, 3 years ago in January, no, 4 years in January, something like that. My mom had a double lung transplant. I hadn't had the chance to see her for a while because we lived in Texas and she lived up there in Chicago, and from what she was telling us over the phone, things seemed like they were pretty bad, and then they called her one day and said she had come up on the list for a double lung transplant, and so she got her transplant and was home, and I think like 5 days. Like, she was doing so well, and she no longer had to be on oxygen. She was no longer in a wheelchair. She could breathe again. I went up there to kind of help her transition from the hospital to home, and you know, she had physical therapists come, she had a home health nurse come. She was doing really, really good.
Take exit 82 toward New Berlin, then turn left onto Waverly Road.
And I mean, extremely well. Like, she had a new lease on life. And the anti-rejection medicines, her body didn't really agree with them. Like, the first one she was on, there's only like a few different organ transplant anti-rejection medications available on the market. So like the first one she was on, she got really, really bad migraines. Like, she'd be in the bed for like a week with really, really, really excruciating migraines. You know, air conditioner turned down, nothing but a wash rag, a cool rag for her head. You know, just pitch black, no sound, no nothing. So they took her off of that medication and put her on a second anti-rejection medicine, which I believe it started giving her kidney failure. So obviously it was so bad that like they had put her on a kidney transplant list. So they took her off that medicine and put her on another medicine that gave her mouth ulcers extremely, extremely bad. She still has scars from them. And in December, they thought that those ulcers had spread into her esophagus and down into her stomach. So they put her in the hospital right around Christmas time. The ulcers were only in her mouth and on her tongue, but they took her off of that medicine, obviously. And the fourth medicine they put her on, it's intravenous, or however you say that, where they have to, like, she has to go like where the people get chemo at and have like, you know, IV set every month, and she has to get it administered that way. Well, also whenever she was in the hospital in December, they told her that she was in slight rejection. I forgot the terms they used. I Googled it. You know, Dr. Google said it wasn't so serious, and then talking to her, she said they told her it wasn't serious. So I believed it wasn't serious, and she seemed to be okay. She came to, you know, my house for a week from Chicago, and she was using an inhaler, which, you know, I'm like, you have a lung transplant, you're supposed to be doing fine. Why are you now using an inhaler after 3 years? Thought about, you know, just keeping my eyes open to this. And that's been a month ago, and now I come up to visit her, and not only is she using an inhaler, she's carrying an emergency inhaler, and she's doing breathing treatments like every hour. There's not one person who can tell me that she's doing okay if she's doing breathing treatments, and she wasn't doing them in the last 3 years. So I'm already, you know, have my mind on guard because she's using an inhaler. She's talking about she can't breathe just walking from the bedroom to the living room. But she had not yet seen the doctor in quite some time. She's been going up to the hospital, but she's getting like her transfusion and medication and getting testing done, but she hadn't actually seen the doctor. So On last Wednesday, she went to, she had a doctor's appointment, and I went with her. When she got there, you know, they checked her oxygen, and she shows the nurse her mouth sore. She has now new mouth sores, and she's talking about her breathing. She does one of the little, I don't know, they have a test where they blow into a thing. I don't know what none of that means. And the doctor comes in, and he, you know, sits in front of the computer, and he says, you know, her lung capacity has dropped since last week, and then he looks more than just last week, and he said, but it's steady, not knowing what that means. So then the nurse says, well, let me take her into the hall and walk her up and down the hall and see how bad her oxygen drops. And while they were out of the room, I told the doctor, I said, you know, I'm very concerned. Why is she taking breathing treatments? And he said, he's very concerned also. Apparently, she has lost almost 2/3 of her lung capacity. She's now in chronic rejection, which means like her small airways are becoming scarred because her body is fighting against the anti-rejection medications, and that doesn't sound good at all to me. They come back in the room, and the nurse says, you know, she dropped momentarily to 87% oxygen while she was walking. Do you want to go ahead and give her oxygen, give her an oxygen tank? And the doctor said, no, not yet. And then he proceeds to tell my mom how she's not a candidate for another lung transplant because her body doesn't agree with the anti-rejection medications, and that she's kind of going downhill, but that they're trying to stabilize. That's what they're working on right now, stabilizing her to keep the lung capacity that she has and doesn't lose any more, but that she could possibly get better, but a little bit better, but in his experience, it has never really happened. You didn't tell me that my mom was going to be okay. And when I make the conclusion in my head, it sounds like she's really not. He did say last week she was at 40% lung capacity, and this week she's at 39. So in my head, when I do the math, if they don't stabilize it, and she's dropping 1% per week, in 9 months or so, she's going to be at 0%. What happens then? So my prayers are that they stabilize it and she doesn't lose any more of her lung capacity, so I can spend just a little bit more time with my mom, so Landon can get to know his grandma a little bit more, so my girls and Tevin can get up here and visit her a little bit more, just a little bit more. You know, God has played some horrible tricks on me in the past couple of years. Horrible tricks on me. Thank God he blessed me with Landon, but he took my baby boy away too. And now he's going to take my mom. I always think somebody else has it worse. Somebody else has it worse than me. Anyways, so that's how our trip to Chicago went. When we get home, Tevin's supposed to be there. Tommy's at work, and Tevin's supposed to be there to help me unpack. Well, we've got a little bit of a drive left, and I'm going to spare y'all from me just blabbing. And y'all see Landon back there chilling. Say I'm chillaxing. You chillaxing? Just chilling. And so, get all these vlogs uploaded for y'all to check out. And by the time y'all see this one, all the others will be already uploaded. But, alright. Bye.
Thanks for watching. Landon wants you to subscribe.